Hi, welcome to the Notorious DID. I am Solara. This is going to be part 2 of Solara's backstory, my backstory. So where I left off in the last video is I was talking about I had been in place starting in 1998 and going through until 20, it had to be 2014. It had to be 2014. Okay, so what should I start with in this particular video? We're doing the backstory. I'll do the backstory and I'll go forward because I do have a little bit of OCD. I like things to be in line as far as what I'm doing. So I already explained that I came into the position in 1998. We were in a bad circumstance. At that point, we were in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was in we're being transparent, we're being honest. I was in county jail. Well, one of the jails. And prior situations had taken place with Laura. I will leave that for her to discuss with you if she chooses. This is about myself and what I encountered. So at that point, we were when I came about, we were in a jail facility. And it was for a while. It was unknown as to how long that was going to be or anything like that. Feeling I was of light, I didn't really have any problems with anybody. I didn't have any funds or money. I don't come from people that have money. And at that particular time, we haven't really mentioned, but Kay is the body's mother. Biological mother, I should say. Outside of that, not a mother. So within that time frame, I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the remainder, I should say, Kay and my grandmother, Millie. I'll just use her name, Millie, because that's who she is. And another relative were in South Carolina, living in South Carolina during this. I have never had a good relationship with Kay. We'll go over that at some point, and I would recommend it be Laura for the most part, because Laura knows probably more than the rest of us do about it. But there was no funds, no money. We were classed as indigent, and I don't know if anybody knows what that means, but that just means you don't have any money, and you're allotted a certain, within the county jails and stuff like that, you're allotted certain necessities, things that you need or that you require. But outside of that, you don't have anything. This particular facility was, I think there was roughly, I think there's ability to have like 48 females in one big huge room with bunk beds. I was on the top bunk. Not that that matters, but I'm just kind of going over all this in my head. There were bathrooms and wash facilities that were off to the side, that were blocked off a bit, but they were all kind of open. That's just kind of the way any kind of county jail and stuff like that is. All the restrooms, you're all sharing restrooms, you're going to be doing whatever right there all together. Baths. There were petitions in between the baths, but obviously there was no doors or anything like that. The toilets, there weren't really petitions. And then the room itself was just a huge, huge open room with all of these bunk beds. And there were a lot of different nationalities in North Las Vegas. Already, that kind of just spit right out, didn't it? But anyway, in Las Vegas, or in a lot of states, period, there is INS, which is they deal with citizenship and immigrants and those that they feel are illegal immigrants and things like that. So in that facility, there were a lot of parties that were Spanish or I mean, there are a lot of different nationalities, but they spoke Spanish. Let's put it that way. Central America, South America, Mexico, things like this, and different places like that. So there were several of them that only spoke Spanish, genuinely only spoke Spanish. And there were both federal inmates and regular inmates, and you were just kind of all there together. And with being in that, I got along with most of the people without a problem. I never had really any huge issues at all. I did join because of it being uncertain circumstances for myself, how long I was going to be there. I did join, I helped found and join a religious group to where they allowed us to go into a separate room once a week to be able to have religious a religious setting that was like Christian. And one of the inmates was the head. I was kind of like the secondary, and one of the other inmates was the head, and she did the preaching, and we all did prayer and things like that. I learned early on, upon coming into the body, that I had artistic abilities and writing abilities. So were the writing abilities specifically mine? I'm not sure if that was just because of the body itself and what was already there residually within the mind, or if it's specifically mine. I'm not sure. Outside of that, I did have drawing abilities. When you're somewhere and you don't have money, but you want to have extras or anything like that, there's a lot of times that you can do things. Like in my case, I would draw, I would get paper and I would draw what someone would want. I had different things I would draw, like I'd draw Bugs Bunny, or I would draw different characters, I would draw different things, and I would write making cards is primarily what I did. I would make cards for other inmates in exchange for a soup or candy or um, whatever we had agreed upon, so that they could send cards to their family members. They could send cards to their children and different things like that. And we all kind of just, I worked in conjunction with a lot of different people. I was known for doing that. So if anybody wanted something drawn or wanted a card or wanted anything like that, then they would automatically just come to me and I would take care of it for them. There were a lot of people that were there that had no clue as to how long they were going to be there. INS circumstances take a long time. You never know how long that's going to be. A lot of the federal inmates, that's you're waiting for, first of all, you're waiting for advancements with your charges, and you're also waiting to find out anything about trial, or it's a hurry up and wait situation is what it's known for and what it's known to be called. So this is what I did to facilitate to be able to have any extras, because otherwise I would just be sitting there. You get 3 hots and a cot, and outside of that you don't, I mean, you just wouldn't have anything. And so I did this, and I liked the fact that I could also help other people with making the cards and stuff for their families, and it was being productive because I have a huge thing with wanting to be productive. I also made the prayer box that we used, because we did have a prayer box, a secret prayer box where people could put their own personal thoughts and own personal prayers in the little box, and I got to make the prayer box, so I was happy about that. I at the time did not speak or know any Spanish, so there was a bit of a barrier, but the way there was a television within the room, and prior to me even getting there, it went by how long you had been there as to the respect and um, who got to make first choices and things like that. And the Spanish group mostly stayed to themselves from the other groups. There was, I know for a fact, one older Spanish lady who had been there for a long time, and they were still sorting out all of that. But the Spanish group had control of the television from the morning until, I don't know, until lunchtime, and then after that it was kind of pretty much, just up for grabs. You'd get to pick and choose. So it was on the Spanish channel in the mornings, and like I said, until lunchtime. So rather than just stay on my bunk like a lot of the other parties did, I would go and sit with the Spanish group, and I would watch Telemundo and all the different things that they were watching. So with doing that, you do start to pick up some of the language, and you start to gather some of the information as far as understanding and being willing to understand another nationality and other people. I think also helped, because I was able to obtain the respect of the Spanish group and be able to sit with them and communicate with them a little bit start to communicate with them through being open and being willing. Everybody's a human being, and everybody can be accepting and can be understanding if you're willing to go that extra mile. And so I really, like I say, I still didn't know specifically who or what I was or where I'd come from. But I was starting to build my own self, if that makes sense. I was starting to build my own self and starting to understand myself and things that I was interested in and things that I was able to do. And it was important to me at that point to be a part of different things and to be a part of different social groups, and I guess you would definitely call it social groups, because the Spanish group was kind of their own social group, and then the religious group was another social group, and people tend to cordon themselves off for comfort, but I really didn't do that. I didn't cordon myself off from anybody, really. If I had an issue with somebody, I would directly deal with that issue. But I only had that really with one individual that came in later. And other than that, I really just I got along pretty much with most people, which I can't really say that now. I don't know what happened. But at that time, I really did. I got along with most people. I apologize for the interruption. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. That was another call about my grandmother and getting that sorted out. I am glad that they're being very proactive at that new facility. So that's a plus. I did hear that they do have a traveling dog that goes around to the different people, and I think that'll be nice. She'll like that. They also have yarn therapy, which they hold the yarn and somebody else creates something with crochet, and to assist them with feeling that they have something to do with it. And then when the person finishes, well, they talk to them, and when the person finishes, they get to keep whatever's made. So she'll like that too. So I was discussing the fact that, yeah, I got along with everybody. I was starting to form who I was, what I thought. Was Laura still there? Well, yes. Laura, I think, was always there at some point. During a couple of times, I do believe now that she completely took over and took charge. Initially, I thought that she was gone completely and I had just taken over. And I think that's what formed my misapprehension in the first place. And this is an outside glance, obviously, because at the time there was no realization for me about any of that. Again, this is getting to be rather long, so it looks like this might be turning into the Solara week. But thank you for listening to us. We appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can be one of the first people to see our videos, comment. We answer all comments. We thank you, whether you are part of our community or not. If you're watching this video, you are now part of our community. That's it. I will be making further videos. This is Solara Backstory. I am Solara with the Notorious DID. And for now, I say bye.